The stone bites into my knees through the thin, worn fabric of my dress. Each thrust of the scrub brush is a metronome of my misery, the coarse bristles scraping against granite and my raw skin in equal measure. The great hall is cavernous, its high ceilings lost in shadow, and I am a tiny, insignificant creature toiling at its feet. The scents of wet pine, lye soap, and old ashes are the perfume of my servitude. I keep my head down, my shoulders hunched, making myself small, invisible. It's a skill I've perfected. To be seen is to be targeted. Boots click on the far side of the hall, followed by the sound of light, cruel laughter that echoes like shattering ice. Ivy. My entire body goes rigid. Don't look up. Don't breathe. Be a ghost. The laughter grows closer. I focus on a stubborn patch of grime, pouring all of my being into erasing it, praying I dissolve into the floor with it. A shadow falls over my work. The clicking boots stop right beside my bucket. I can see the fine, polished leather, so unlike my own ragged foot wraps. Wow, look what we have here. Ivy's voice purrs, dripping with false sweetness. The little mouse, hard at work. Do you actually think you can scrub your stench out of our stones? Heat floods my cheeks. I keep scrubbing, my movements becoming more frantic. Ignore her. Just ignore her. One of her followers snickers. The sound is a needle in my skin. Ivy's boot shifts. It grinds into the edge of my wooden bucket, tilting it. Icy, soapy water sloshes over the side, soaking my lap and drenching the clean patch of stone I'd just finished. The cold is a shocking slap. A gasp escapes me before I can stop it. Oops, she says, her voice a mockery of apology. She leans down, her perfect blonde hair swinging forward. Her smile is a weapon. You don't mind starting over, do you? It's not like you have anywhere more important to be. My fists clench in the dirty water. I force myself to look up, to not give her the reaction she wants. But my traitorous eyes skip past her. They find Alpha Zane across the hall, speaking with Beta Jarek. For one heart-stopping second, his dark eyes flicker and meet mine. I snap my head down, blood roaring in my ears. He didn't see me. He couldn't have. But Ivy saw me look. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic drum of panic. I saw the Alpha. He saw me. It was just a glance, a fleeting moment, but in this pack, a servant looking directly at the Alpha is a punishable offense. I keep my eyes locked on the flooded floor, waiting for the blow, but it doesn't come. Instead, I hear Ivy's sharp intake of breath. I risk a glance upward from beneath my lashes. She's no longer looking at me. Her gaze is fixed across the hall, her expression a mixture of fear and rapt attention. She's watching them, Alpha Zane and Beta Jarek. They stand near the massive hearth, the firelight carving their profiles in light and shadow. Zane stands with his arms crossed over his broad chest, his posture rigid, unyielding. Jarek is speaking, his gestures smooth and expansive, a confident smile playing on his lips. He leans in, clapping Zane on the shoulder like an equal, a gesture that seems too familiar, too dismissive of the crown Zane wears. Zane doesn't relax into the touch. If anything, his shoulders grow tighter. He gives a short, sharp shake of his head. I can't hear the words, but the tension between them is a live wire, crackling across the hall. This is the divide I've heard whispered about in the kitchens. The new Alpha's progressive ideas against the Beta's traditional, brutal strength. Jarek's voice rises slightly, just enough for a few words to carry on the cold air. Sentiment is a luxury, Zane. Strength is what they understand. Fear is what keeps order. The use of the Alpha's given name without his title is a subtle slap, a reminder of their shared history and Jarek's perceived seniority. Zane's response is too low to hear, but the tone is a low, frustrated growl. He turns his head, and his gaze sweeps the hall. It doesn't land on me this time, but takes in the vast, opulent room, the shadows in the corners, the weight of centuries of tradition. He looks isolated, a reformer trapped in a fortress of tradition, fighting a war on all sides. Ivy watches this exchange like a hawk, her confidence visibly buoyed by Jarek's demeanor. She sees which way the wind blows, which side holds the real, gritty power in the day-to-day life of the pack. The alpha might be the king, but Jarek is the general everyone is used to following. Ivy turns back to me, and the look on her face has changed. The brief fear is gone, replaced by a cold, calculating cruelty, reinforced by what she's just witnessed. The alpha is distracted, challenged by his own beta. She has impunity. Her smile returns, but it's no longer playful, it's vicious. "What?" she sneers, her voice dropping so only our immediate circle can hear. Her followers close ranks around us, cutting off any escape. "You think the alpha would ever look twice at something like you? You're less than the dirt on his boot." The insults are familiar, but the intent behind them is sharper, more dangerous. She's not just trying to humiliate me anymore. She's making a point to everyone watching. She straightens up, laughing with her friends, and they start to turn away. A fragile, fleeting hope that it's over sparks in my chest. Maybe I've endured enough for one day. But then she stops. She looks over her shoulder, her eyes glinting with malicious inspiration. "Actually," she says, her voice dropping all pretense, becoming cold and sharp, "let's make sure everyone remembers what you are. Let's make sure he remembers." Her hand whips out, faster than a striking snake. Her fingers don't just grab my arm, they tangle in the weak, threadbare fabric of my sleeve. My heart stops. Time slows. I see the malicious gleam in her eyes. I see the anticipation on her followers' faces. I tried to pull back, but it's too late. She yanks me forward with surprising strength. The sound is obscenely loud in the quiet hall. A long, vicious rip. The worn fabric, strained from years of wear and washing, gives way completely. Cold air slaps my entire back and shoulder. The dress tears down to my waist, leaving me in nothing but my thin, ragged shift. The gasps from the onlookers are a physical blow. Humiliation, hot and paralyzing, scorches through me. I stand there frozen, my arms instinctively crossing over my chest, trying to make myself disappear. I am exposed, utterly laid bare. Not just my body, but my poverty, my low status, my worthlessness is on display for the entire pack to see. Ivy's laughter rings in my ears, the only sound in a world that has shrunk to this moment of utter, devastating disgrace. I can't move. I can't breathe. The cold air on my skin is a brand of shame. The torn fabric hangs off my shoulders, a pathetic banner of my humiliation. My vision blurs at the edges, focusing on the gritty texture of the stone floor between my bare feet. The whispers and giggles of the pack are a distant roar, muffled by the blood pounding in my ears. This is it, the end of any semblance of dignity. There is no coming back from this. I will be defined by this moment forever. The servant who was stripped bare in the great hall. Ivy preens, basking in her victory, in the effectiveness of her cruelty. She has made her point. This is the natural order. This is what happens to those who forget their place. From the periphery of my tear-filled vision, I see a shift. A sudden cessation of sound from the crowd near the hearth. The pack members who were watching me now look past me, their expressions shifting from amusement to shock and fear. The hands of Ivy's followers, which had been holding me, loosen their grip and fall away. A vast, imposing shadow falls over me, blocking out the torchlight and plunging me into a sudden, intimate darkness. The scent hits me first. Winter frost, leather, and the raw, untamed power of an alpha. It's a scent that speaks of authority and cold, brutal strength. My heart, already hammering, seizes with a new kind of terror. I don't dare look up. I can't. I just kneel there, a statue of shame, waiting for the blow, the condemnation, the final word that will shatter what's left of me. But it doesn't come. Instead, a weight settles around my shoulders. It is impossibly warm, impossibly soft, and impossibly heavy. It drapes over me, swallowing my shivering frame whole, covering my exposed back and arms in a cloak of luxurious, fur-lined darkness. The fabric is soft against my cheek, and it smells overwhelmingly of him, of winter and power and safety. The world holds its breath. I dared to look up. Alpha Zane is kneeling before me. His face is a thundercloud, his features etched with a fury so intense it should terrify me. But his dark eyes, blazing like coals, aren't fixed on my exposed skin. They are locked on my face, and a fury in them isn't for me. It's for them, for the pack, for the cruelty he just witnessed. His proximity is overwhelming, a furnace of contained rage that makes my head spin. His hand, large and calloused, rests on my shoulder where the cloak meets my skin. The touch is not possessive, but protective. A claim, yes, but one of sanctuary. He rises, a mountain uncoiling, and pulls me up with him. His grip on my arm is firm, steadying, the only thing keeping my trembling legs from giving out. The cloak, his cloak, the black fur-lined symbol of his rank, swallows me whole, its hem pooling on the floor at my feet. He turns us slowly, deliberately, to face the stunned, silent pack. His movement is powerful, a predator claiming his kill in front of the entire pride. His eyes sweep the crowd, and I feel the collective flinch. Ivy has shrunk back, her face ashen, all her cruel confidence evaporated. Beta Jarek stands slightly apart, his expression a carefully crafted neutral mask, but his eyes are narrowed, calculating, watching his alpha's every move. The silence is a physical thing, heavy and waiting. Zane's voice, when it comes, is low. It doesn't need to be loud. It carries to every corner of the hall, resonating with an absolute, unquestionable authority that leaves no room for dissent. This cruelty ends now. He lets the words hang, a decree etched in ice. His fingers tighten slightly on my arm, a silent promise. This woman is under my protection. He pauses, letting the staggering implications sink in. A servant, claimed by the king. The air crackles with shock. From this moment, any insult to her is an insult to me. Any harm to her is a challenge to my authority. He is not just protecting me. He is drawing a line in the sand. He is declaring his new way against the old. He finally looks at Jarek, including him in the command, making it undeniable. Is that understood? The challenge in his tone is unmistakable. For a long suspended second, no one moves, no one breathes. The entire pack waits for the beta's response. Jarek's face is unreadable, but a muscle ticks in his jaw. He gives a shallow, perfunctory bow, the motion devoid of any real respect. "As you command, Alpha," he says, his voice smooth as oil, but laced with a venom that I, from my proximity, can feel. The spell breaks. A ragged, hesitant chorus of "Yes, Alpha" echoes through the hall, filled more with fear and confusion than conviction. Zane gives a single, sharp nod. Without another word, he turns, his hand still on my arm, and leads me away from the crowd. We walk through a sea of bewildered and hostile faces. I keep my eyes fixed ahead, on the broad expanse of his back, clutching the edges of the cloak tightly around me. It feels like a shield and a target at all once. As we pass Jarek, I feel the beta's gaze like a physical touch, cold and assessing. He doesn't look angry. He looks intrigued, as if he's just been handed a fascinating new puzzle, a weapon. He sees Zane's public display not as a show of strength, but as a perfect, exploitable weakness. Me. Zane doesn't lead me toward the servant quarters. He guides me toward the east wing, the royal quarters. The message is clear to everyone watching. My life as I knew it is over. The lock of my old world has clicked shut forever. But as the weight of his cloak and the heat of his hand steer me forward, I realize I'm not stepping into safety. I'm stepping onto a battlefield. Zane has declared his war on the old ways. And with a single word, he has made me his standard bearer. The first shot has been fired, and I am standing right at the epicenter of the blast.
Garrett's hand on my elbow is firm, steering me away from the main thoroughfares and into a wing of the keep I've only ever cleaned. The air changes instantly. It's warmer, smelling of beeswax, polished wood, and a quiet, imposing wealth that makes my lungs feel tight. The stones here are smoother, the torches replaced by steady, magical orbs of light that cast a soft, unwavering glow. My damp, worn boots sink into a thick, plush runner that muffles our footsteps, making me feel like an intruder. We stop before a heavy oak door, intricately carved with the Frostfang sigil of howling wolves against jagged mountain peaks. "Your quarters," Garrett states, his voice a flat, unreadable line. He pushes the door open. I step across the threshold, and my breath catches in my throat. The room is vast, a space larger than the entire scullery maid's dormitory. A colossal four-poster bed, heaped with furs and pillows that look like clouds, dominates the center. A fire crackles merrily in a grand granite hearth, and a wide window offers a terrifyingly beautiful view of the snow-capped mountains. It's opulent. It's sterile. It's a gilded cage. Every luxurious detail is a reminder of my place, or rather, the lack of it. I am an imposter here. The plush rug under my feet, the silken sheets I dare not touch, they all scream that I don't belong. Garrett remains in the doorway, a silent sentinel. "You are not to leave," he says, his tone leaving no room for argument. "For your safety." The soft but definitive click of the lock echoes in the vast space, a period at the end of my old life. The silence that follows is a roaring presence. I stand frozen in the center of the room, afraid to move, to touch, to breathe too deeply. My reflection in a gilded mirror shows a pale, wide-eyed ghost swamped in the Alpha's cloak. This is Zane's solution: hide the problem away in luxury. But by putting me here, he hasn't made me safe. He's made me a target. He has elevated me, and in doing so, has given every traditionalist who hates his new ways a perfect symbol to focus their anger on. The lock on the door is the only truth in this beautiful lie. I am trapped. The first night is long and sleepless. Every sound is amplified. The pop of the dying fire, the groan of the ancient keeps settling, the distant howl of a wolf on the ridge. I jump at each one, my heart hammering. The bed is too soft, the furs too suffocating. I end up on the floor, wrapped in Zane's cloak, my back against the wall, just like I used to sleep in the servant's dorm. The familiarity is a small comfort in the terrifying unfamiliarity of everything else. Dawn filters through the window, painting the room in pale, cold light. The lock clicks open. I scramble to my feet, my body tense. It's not a maid. It's Garrett. He carries a tray of food, porridge, bread, a slice of cheese, and sets it on the small table by the fire. His eyes do a quick, professional sweep of the room, noting my position by the wall, the untouched bed. "You need to eat," he says, his voice neutral. He doesn't leave. He takes a post by the door, his arms crossed. His presence is a solid, unmovable fact. He is my warden. His silence is more unnerving than any threat. I force myself to eat under his watchful gaze, each bite like ash in my mouth.
He is Zane's loyalty made flesh, and his unwavering watch is a constant reminder that my safety is a fragile, contingent thing, entirely dependent on the alpha's whim. His routine is unvarying. He brings meals, he stands guard, he says little. Sometimes he asks a direct, practical question. Are you warm enough? Do you require anything? My answers are whispers. I learned to read the subtle shifts in his stance, the slight tilt of his head when he's listening to something outside the door. He is the barrier between me and the rest of the pack, but I can't tell if he's shielding me or just containing me. One afternoon, as he replaces a stack of logs by the fire, his sleeve rides up. I see the faint, silvery scars of old battles crisscrossing his forearm. This is no mere guard. This is a seasoned warrior, assigned to babysit a scullery maid. The absurdity and the danger of my situation crash down on me anew. I am a prize, so volatile, he requires his best man to guard her.
The lock clicks open a second time that same day. My heart leaps into my throat, expecting Garrett with dinner. But it's Zane who fills the doorway. He has changed from his formal attire into a simple dark tunic and trousers, but his presence still makes the large room feel small and charged. He carries a book, its leather cover worn. He doesn't explain his presence. He just walks to the armchair by the fire and sits, opening the book. He doesn't speak. He just exists. In my space, the silence is thick, awkward, and utterly terrifying. I remain perched on the edge of the bed, my hands clenched in my lap, every nerve ending aware of his exact location. He reads for a while, then his eyes lift from the page and land on me. "The view is one of the best in the keep," he says, his voice a low rumble that seems to vibrate in the quiet room. He's not looking at the view, he's looking at me. It's not a question, but it demands a response. I just nod, my throat too tight to form words. He watches me for another long moment before returning to his book. This is his new strategy, forced proximity. He is a patient hunter, and I am the skittish prey he's trying to coax out of hiding. His visits become a tense, unpredictable part of the routine. Sometimes he brings scrolls to read. Sometimes he just stares into the fire. His silence is a question I'm too afraid to answer. The worst is the bond. In the close confines of the room, the mate bond is a live wire, humming between us. It's a physical pull, a magnetic force that makes my skin prickle and my wolf stir restlessly deep within me, a creature I've spent a lifetime suppressing. I feel a constant, low-level awareness of him, the rhythm of his breathing, the shift of his weight in the chair, the heat radiating from his body. It's an intimacy more profound than any touch. He must feel it too. I see it in the way he sometimes goes very still, his eyes growing distant, as if he's listening to a sound only he can hear. He's trying to understand this connection as much as I am fighting it. We are two planets caught in each other's gravity, and a collision feels inevitable.
A week into my captivity, the first whisper reaches me. The young maid who brings my lunch, a different girl, one I haven't seen before, hesitates after setting down the tray. Her eyes are wide, not with curiosity, but with a superstitious fear. She glances toward the door, ensuring Garrett isn't watching, then leans in slightly. "They're saying in the kitchens," her voice is a tremulous whisper, "that since you came, the luck's turned. The southern storeroom, half the winter meat's gone bad, rotted through overnight." She looks at me as if I'm a cursed object, a bearer of ill fortune. She flees before I can respond, the lock clicking shut behind her with a sound of finality. The evidence, as they say, mounts. I become an expert at listening to the low-voiced exchanges between Garrett and Zane just outside my door. Garrett's reports are a litany of new misfortunes. Another border skirmish alpha, Emberclaw wolves growing bolder. Their scouts are coming closer. They seem anticipatory. The next day, his voice is grimmer. The silver mine shaft collapsed. No deaths, but production is halted for weeks. The men are nervous. They're saying it's a bad omen. The words are always followed by a heavy, pointed silence. Jarek is a master craftsman, skillfully weaving my arrival into a narrative of decay and betrayal. I am the common denominator in every new tragedy, the blight that followed the Alpha's moment of weakness. The pack's mood shifts palpably. During my brief, guarded walks on the balcony with Garrett, the gazes from the courtyards below are no longer just curious or hostile. They're fearful, angry. I see mothers pull their children close and hurry inside. I see warriors glare up, their hands resting on the pommels of their weapons. I am no longer just an outsider. I am a jinx, a harbinger of ruin. Jarek's poison is working its way through the pack's heart, turning Zane's act of mercy into the catalyst for their downfall. The gilded cage is becoming a prison of condemnation, and the walls are closing in, not built of stone, but of lies and fear. I am being isolated not just by a lock, but by the entire pack.
He finds me at the window that night, staring out at the endless black of the mountains, wrapped in the fading scent of his cloak. The door clicks shut behind him, but he doesn't speak. He just comes to stand beside me, his shoulder almost touching mine. The silence is different tonight, softer, heavier, charged with all the things we haven't said. "They blame you," he says finally, his voice quiet, stripped of its usual alpha authority. It's not an accusation, it's just a statement. A fact he can no longer ignore. I nod, my throat too tight for words. Jarek is persuasive, he adds, a world of frustration and simmering anger in those 3 words. I risk a glance at him. In the moonlight filtering through the window, he looks younger, tired. The weight of his crown is visibly pressing down on him. "This pack," he sighs, running a hand through his dark hair in a rare unguarded gesture of fatigue. "It's rusted shut with tradition, with cruelty. I need to change that." He turns his head and his eyes meet mine. The intensity there is not anger, but a desperate, fervent hope. It's the most vulnerable I've ever seen him. "What happened to you? It can't be who we are. It won't be." In this raw, unguarded moment, he isn't the Alpha King. He's just Zane, a man trying to steer a broken ship against a vicious storm. The intimacy of the confession steals the air from my lungs. The walls I've built around my heart crack. The words are there, poised on my tongue. My name is Thalia of the Emberclaw. I am the lost heir. This is the moment. He's showing me his dream. I could show him my truth. My lips part. I take a shallow breath. But before I can speak, he takes a half step closer. The space between us vanishes. I can feel the heat from his body, see the flecks of silver in his dark eyes. His gaze drops to my lips. My heart is a wild drum against my ribs. The mate bond screams between us, a physical pull. His head bends toward mine. The confession dies, replaced by a terrifying, exhilarating anticipation. The kiss is a breath away.
A sharp, urgent knock shatters the moment like glass. We spring apart. The spell is broken. Zane's face shudders instantly. The vulnerable man replaced by the Alpha. "Enter," he barks, his voice rough with frustration and something else. Garrett steps in, his expression grim. "Alpha, you're needed, now. It's the Western Gate, a breach." The urgency in his voice is a cold dash of reality. Zane's jaw tightens. He gives me one last unreadable look, a mixture of frustration and lingering heat, then strides from the room without a backward glance. The door closes, and I am left alone, my body thrumming with the ghost of his proximity, the words of his confession echoing in the sudden silence. I need to change that. His words play on a loop. He trusts me with his vulnerability, his dream, and I am lying to him with every breath I take. The guilt is a physical ache, sharper than any fear. I have to tell him, now, before this goes any further, before my secret destroys everything he's trying to build. I pace, waiting for him to return, rehearsing the words in my head. I am not who you think I am. My name is Thalia of the Emberclaw. I am the lost heir. My heart hammers. Will he see it as betrayal, or will he understand? The need to confess, to be free of the burden, is an overwhelming tide. Down below, in the shadows of the courtyard, Beta Jarek watches the manufactured commotion at the western gate with a cold, satisfied smile. The diversion has worked perfectly. With the Alpha distracted, he signals to two of his most loyal enforcers. They slip like ghosts into the abandoned, dilapidated servants' wing, their movements swift and silent. They know exactly where to go. In minutes, they are prying up the loose floorboard beneath my old, rotten cot. Their hands close around a small, cold, forgotten object buried in the dirt and straw. They pull it free, brushing off the dust. It is a simple, tarnished silver locket. One of them pries it open. Inside, pressed against glass, is a tiny, faded portrait of a woman with kind eyes and a crown of flames in her hair. On the inside of the lid, engraved with exquisite care, is a single, unmistakable symbol, the flaming claw of the Emberclaw pack. Jarek's smile widens into a vicious grin.
The lock on my door clicks open hours later, but it's not Zane returning. Two of Jarek's enforcers fill the doorway, their faces hard, their eyes glinting with cold purpose. They don't speak. They just stride in, their heavy boots silent on the plush rug. My heart seizes, a frozen block of terror in my chest. This is it. He knows. They know. I back away until my legs hit the bed, with nowhere left to run. One of them goes straight to the wardrobe, flinging it open. The other starts pulling drawers from the dresser, upending them onto the floor in a riot of fine fabrics Zane had provided for me. "What are you doing?" I demand, my voice a thin, reedy whisper. They ignore me completely. The one at the wardrobe makes a grunt of satisfaction. He turns, and in his hand is a rolled-up parchment I've never seen before. He unrolls it just enough to reveal intricate, hand-drawn lines, a detailed map of the Frostfang territory with patrol routes and weak points marked in stark red ink. My blood runs cold. The other enforcer pulls a small cloth-wrapped bundle from his pocket and, with a theatrical flourish, tucks it deep beneath the pile of clothes on the floor. He finds it a second later, holding up a handful of rare, pungent mountain herbs, the kind used exclusively by Emberclaw scouts to mask their scent. They finally look at me, their expressions a blend of triumph and contempt. One grabs my arm, his grip like iron, and yanks me toward the door. I dig my heels in, but I'm no match for his strength. "Let go! That's not mine! None of that is mine!" I cry out, my voice rising in panic. They don't react. They just drag me, stumbling and terrified, into the corridor. The evidence is planted. The trap is sprung. I am a mouse caught in a snare, and the jaws are snapping shut. The great hall is packed. A sea of hostile, confused faces. The air is thick with tension and a low, angry buzz. At the center of it all, standing before his throne, is Alpha Zane. His face is a mask of cold fury, but his eyes are conflicted, stormy. And beside him, wearing a smile as sharp as a knife, stands Beta Jarek. I am thrown forward, landing on my knees at the foot of the dais. The enforcer drops the rolled map and the herbs on the stone floor before me. The evidence. "Alpha," Jarek's voice rings out, smooth and poisonous, silencing the crowd. We acted on a concerned tip from a loyal pack member. A search of her quarters has revealed troubling things. He gestures to the map with a flourish, a detailed rendering of our territory, our defenses, our vulnerabilities. Then to the herbs. Emberclaw tools, for espionage, to move among us unseen. A furious murmur ripples through the pack. Zane's gaze is locked on the map, his jaw clenched so tight I think it might break. He doesn't look at me. He's looking at the proof of a betrayal he wants to believe isn't true. Jarek lets the anger build, savoring the moment. He paces before the crowd, a performer on stage. We asked ourselves, why? Why would a simple scullery maid need such things? What possible motive could she have? He stops dramatically, turning to face Zane, but speaking to the entire pack. The answer required looking deeper, into her past, into the lies she used to infiltrate us. The pack is hanging on his every word. He has them in the palm of his hand. He is about to deal the killing blow, and he wants everyone to see it land. I want to scream, to deny it, but my voice is trapped in my throat, choked by fear and the crushing weight of his theatrics. Jarek turns back to the crowd, his expression one of grave solemnity. We searched the ruins of her former quarters, the place she called home. From within his tunic he produces it, the tarnished silver locket. He holds it up, letting it dangle from its chain. The engraved flaming claw of the Emberclaw pack catches the torchlight. The symbol is ancient, unmistakable. A collective sharp intake of breath hisses through the hall. The crowd's murmur erupts into shouts of outrage and betrayal. Jarek's voice booms over them, triumphant and vicious. "She is no mere servant," he declares, pointing a damning finger at me. "She is the lost heir of the Emberclaw, the pup they said was killed in the border wars, a spy planted in our midst to weaken us for their coming attack." The accusations hang in the air, each one a nail in my coffin. He turns his triumphant, gloating gaze on Zane. "She has played you for a fool, Alpha. She used your compassion against you. She would have sat in your council, learned your secrets, and delivered us all to our enemies." He paints a picture of such calculated deception that even I, hearing it, feel a chill of horror. It's a perfect story. It fits all the facts he has manufactured. I finally find my voice. "It's a lie!" The shout is raw, desperate, tearing from my throat. All eyes swing to me. He planted it, the map, the herbs. It's all a lie. But my voice is drowned out by the roar of the pack. My denial sounds pathetic, the frantic plea of a traitor caught red-handed. Jarek just smiles, a cold, pitiless curve of his lips. He doesn't need to argue. He has already won. He has presented a narrative that feeds into their fears and prejudices perfectly. I am no longer a person. I am a symbol of Emberclaw treachery, and their hatred is a tidal wave ready to crash down and drown me. The roar of the pack is a physical force, a wave of hatred and betrayal that crashes over me. "Traitor! Spy! Emberclaw whore!" The words are stones, hurled with venom. I am drowning in them, but all I can see is him, Zane. His eyes finally lift from the locket and meet mine. The conflict is gone. The storm has cleared, leaving only a vast, frozen wasteland of utter betrayal. The connection between us, the fragile, budding thing I felt just hours ago, doesn't just break, it shatters, and the pieces turn to ice in my veins. I see the exact moment he believes it. He believes I lied to him. He believes I used his vulnerability against him. He believes every word Jarek has said. The bond, that electric, living thing that hummed between us, goes cold, not just quiet, dead. A void opens up in my chest, so cold and empty it hurts more than any shout. It's a severing, an amputation of the soul. The warmth, the pull, the terrifying sense of rightness, it's gone, replaced by an absolute, howling emptiness. "My king," I whisper, the title a plea, my voice breaking. "Please, it's all I can manage. Please see the truth. Please see me." He doesn't. His face hardens into the mask of the Alpha, impenetrable and remote. He looks at me as if I am a stranger. Worse, an enemy. The love and warmth I saw in his eyes hours before is gone, replaced by a frigid, impersonal disdain. He doesn't defend me. He doesn't say a word. His silence is the most devastating blow of all. It is his agreement. It is his condemnation. He turns his head away from me, dismissing my existence, and addresses Jarek. His voice flat and dead. "Take her away." 3 words. They are my execution. The enforcer's hands are brutal on my arms, hauling me to my feet. I don't fight them. There's no point. The walk through the great hall is a gauntlet. Spit lands on my cheek. Snarls and curses follow me. I keep my eyes on Zane's turned back until I can't see him anymore. They don't take me to a cell in the main keep. They drag me down, 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 into the bowels of the mountain where the air grows damp and frigid. The glacial dungeons. The sound of the pack's fury fades, replaced by the drip of water and the moan of the wind through deep crevices. They throw me into a cell and slam the iron door shut. The lock grinds into place with a finality that echoes in my soul. The cold is immediate, seeping through my thin clothes, biting into my skin. I am alone, utterly, completely alone. I sink onto the hard, frost-rimed stone bench, pulling my knees to my chest. The darkness is absolute, broken only by a sliver of pale moonlight from a high barred window. He hates me. The thought is a relentless, torturous loop. He believes I betrayed him. The bond is a dead, cold thing in my chest, a constant reminder of what I've lost, of the connection that was severed because of a lie. I bury my face in my knees, but the tears won't come. I am frozen solid, inside and out. The hope I had, the fragile dream that maybe I could belong, is extinguished. Jarek has won. Zane let him. I am alone in the dark with nothing but the crushing weight of his belief in my betrayal. The silence is my only companion, and it whispers one thing, over and over. He hates you. He believes the lie. You are nothing. The cold isn't just in the air, it's in my heart, and it's infinitely worse. Time has no meaning in the glacial dark. It could be hours or days. The cold is a constant gnawing ache in my bones. I've stopped shivering. That's a bad sign. I just sit on the stone bench, curled into myself, replaying the frozen betrayal on Zane's face. It is my only company. The scrape of the lock is a shock, a violent intrusion on the silence. Heavy footsteps approach my cell. I don't look up. I know who it is. Jarek's scent, cold metal and ambition precedes him. He stops outside the bars, a smug shadow. "The pack demands justice, of course," he says, his voice oily and smooth in the quiet dungeon. "They demand strength from their alpha. They demand proof that sentimentality has not made him weak." I finally lift my head. His expression is one of pure, gloating triumph. "Ancient law is clear on the punishment for a spy, little princess. Public execution. A swift, decisive show of force that will unite the pack and remind our enemies of our resolve." He leans closer, his fingers curling around the cold iron bars. The question is, will he do it? Will he sacrifice his little pet to prove his strength? Or will he show the pack that his loyalty to an Emberclaw spy outweighs his duty to them? He lets the question hang in the frigid air, savoring my despair. This is his masterstroke. He has forced Zane into an impossible choice. Kill me and destroy the part of himself that dreams of a better pack, or spare me and prove himself a weak, traitorous leader in the eyes of his people. Either way, Jarek wins. Zane loses. I am just the weapon being used to break him. The council meets at dawn to hear his decision. Jarek whispers, a final, venomous promise. He turns and walks away, his footsteps fading, leaving me alone with the terrible choice he has engineered. Dawn. A few hours from now. My life is measured in heartbeats. Time has no meaning in the glacial dark. It could be hours or days. The cold is a constant gnawing ache in my bones. I've stopped shivering. That's a bad sign. I just sit on the stone bench, curled into myself, replaying the frozen betrayal on Zane's face. It is my only company. The scrape of the lock is a shock, a violent intrusion on the silence. Heavy footsteps approach my cell. I don't look up. I expect Jarek's gloating or an enforcer's rough hands. But the scent that hits me is different. Winter frost and leather, and beneath it, a pain so profound it echoes my own. I slowly uncurl, lifting my head. Alpha Zane stands there, still as a statue, watching me through the bars. The mask of the cold, betrayed Alpha is gone. In its place is a raw, harrowing anguish. His eyes are shadowed, his shoulders slumped with a weight I can feel from across the cell. He expects to see a cowering traitor. He expects fear, or perhaps defiant lies. He has come for a confession, for some shred of explanation that will make the devastating betrayal make sense. The air between us is thick with everything that has been shattered. The bond is still a cold, dead void in my chest, but his presence makes the emptiness ache. He doesn't speak. He just looks at me, and I see the war raging behind his eyes. The king who must uphold the law, and the man who knelt in front of me and saw something worth saving. He is waiting for me to break the silence, to give him something, anything to work with. A reason to doubt the irrefutable evidence, a reason to fight the inevitable. But all he sees is a hollowed-out shell, a girl resigned to her fate. His jaw tightens. The hope that maybe, just maybe, he was here to free me dies before it can fully form. This isn't a rescue. It's a final assessment before the execution. I stand and walk to the bars, my movements slow, stiff with cold. I don't clutch them. I don't beg. I simply meet his gaze. My voice, when it comes, is scratchy from disuse and the cold, but it is clear and calm. It is the calm of absolute certainty. Do it, I say. He flinches as if I've struck him. His eyes widen a fraction, shocked by the words, by the lack of fear in them. Jarek is right. The law is clear. I take a shallow, icy breath that burns my lungs. My death will unite the pack under you. It will prove your strength to those who doubt you. It will prevent the war my existence would inevitably cause. My words are not a plea. They are an offering. The only thing I have left to give him. My life for his dream. For the stability of the pack he loves. It is a fair trade, I finish, my voice barely a whisper now. I hold his gaze, letting him see the truth in mine. There is no deception here, no last-minute trick, only a devastating, resigned acceptance. I am proving my loyalty to him is absolute, even if he believes everything else is a lie. I would rather die by his hand than live knowing my existence destroyed everything he worked for. His eyes searched mine, looking for the lie, the manipulation, the hidden angle. He finds only a bleak, self-sacrificing truth. The anger and betrayal in his eyes fractures, replaced by a dawning, horrifying realization. He came here expecting a spy. He is looking at a woman willing to die for him and his people. The sheer, illogical magnitude of it doesn't compute with the narrative of betrayal Jarek sold him. The cold void where our bond was throbs with a phantom pain. My offering hangs between us, a testament to a loyalty he no longer believes he deserves. It changes everything. The dungeon door crashes open with a sound like splintering bone. Garrett stumbles down the steps, his face etched with urgency, his chest heaving. He doesn't even acknowledge me. His eyes are locked on his alpha. Zane, he gasps, bypassing all formality in his desperation. You need to see this. Now. He thrusts a small charred piece of fabric into Zane's hands. It's the corner of a guard's uniform, the one worn by Jarek's personal enforcers. Stitched into the lining, barely visible, is a tiny, intricate symbol, a stylized serpent coiled around a dagger, Jarek's personal sigil. We found it in the ashes of the southern storeroom, Garrett says, his voice low and furious, where the meat mysteriously rotted. It was no misfortune. It was arson, set to look like damp and neglect. He takes a step closer, his gaze intense. And the mine collapse? The supports were sawn through, Zane, deliberately. I have witnesses, miners who were threatened into silence, but they'll talk to you. They'll confirm it was Jarek's men. He finally glances at me, his expression one of pained apology. The border skirmishes, they were provoked. By our side, by Jarek's men wearing stolen Emberclaw colors. It was all a lie, every bit of it. The truth unfurls between them, ugly and undeniable. Every single disaster, every whisper, every piece of evidence against me, all fabricated. A meticulously orchestrated campaign by Jarek to undermine his alpha and seize power. Zane's hand closes around the charred fabric, his knuckles white. A low, inhuman growl starts deep in his chest, rumbling through the dungeon floor. The air around him shimmers with barely contained rage. His wolf is rising, a furious protective force unleashed by the ultimate betrayal. His eyes, when they snap to mine, are no longer cold or conflicted. They are blazing with a ferocious, terrifying promise. The game is over. The cell door doesn't open with a key. Zane's hands close around the iron bars. With a raw, guttural snarl of pure fury that seems to shake the very mountain, he wrenches them apart. The metal screams in protest, bending and twisting as if it were made of parchment, not solid iron. He doesn't wait for me to move. He strides into the cell. His power is a palpable, crackling storm around him. His eyes are pure alpha amber, his wolf riding him hard, just beneath the surface. He doesn't speak, he simply reaches for me. His hands close around my arms, but the grip isn't harsh. It's possessive, grounding, an anchor in the storm of his rage. He pulls me from the cell, his body a solid, immovable shield between me and the world that wanted me dead. Garrett, gather the loyalists, the ones we tagged from the start. Arm them. Meet us at the Howling Crags. He commands, his voice a gravelly mix of human and wolf, layered with undeniable authority. Garrett nods once, a soldier receiving his orders, and turns to sprint back up the stairs, his footsteps echoing with purpose. Zane's attention returns to me. The fury in his eyes softens, just for a second, into something devastatingly raw. I am sorry, he grates out, the words thick with a potent mix of rage and regret. I failed to see. I failed to protect you. I believed the lie. The apology is not from the alpha to a subject. It is from a man to his mate. He strips off his heavy outer cloak, wrapping it around my shaking shoulders, replacing the dungeon's cold with his warmth and his scent. The gesture is one of fierce, unwavering protection. He is claiming me all over again, but this time it's for keeps. He doesn't let go of my arms. His gaze burns into mine, intense and unwavering. The bond, he says, his voice low and rough. It went cold. I felt it die. It's not an accusation. It's a shared pain, a question. He felt it too, the devastating severing. I nod, unable to speak. The memory of that emptiness, a fresh wound. It was the lie, I whisper, my voice breaking. I thought you hated me. I felt you believe it. The admission is a vulnerability I can no longer afford, but I give it to him anyway. His hands slide from my arms to my hands, lacing our fingers together. The contact is electric, and then I feel it. A spark, a faint, flickering warmth in the center of my chest, in that cold, dead void. It's weak, like the first ember of a fire, but it's there. My breath hitches. His eyes widen, and I know he feels it too. The bond isn't dead. It was buried under the weight of his betrayal and my despair. Our truth, our touch, is reigniting it. The connection surges back to life, not as a quiet hum, but as a brilliant, unbreakable thread of light and heat, stronger and more certain than before. It is no longer a question. It is a fact. It was never a choice, he says, his voice firm now, all doubt gone. Not really. He is not just talking about the bond. He is talking about me, about us, about his stand against Jarek. In his eyes, I see the reformist alpha, the king who dreams of a better pack. But I also see the man, and the man is looking at his equal. The alliance between Alpha and Omega is sealed, but more importantly, the alliance between Zane and Thalia is forged in fire and truth. We are together in this. For the first time, I truly believe we might win.
He doesn't release my hands, the howling crags, he says, his mind already racing ahead, strategizing. Jarek will be there. He'll use the ancient meeting ground to make his stand, to rally the pack against me. He'll demand your execution publicly, before everyone. His eyes gleam with a cold, calculated light. We will give him the audience he wants, but we will not give him the story. The plan forms between us, not in detailed words, but in shared understanding, flowing through the reconnected bond. I will challenge his influence, Zane continues, his voice a low, determined rumble. I will let him present his evidence. I will let him condemn you. Let him show the pack his true, ambitious face. Let him think he has won. He pulls me closer, his expression deadly serious. And you, when the moment is right, you will step forward, not as a defendant, not as a servant. You will reveal your truth, not as a weapon against us, but as a bridge. The audacity of it steals my breath, to stand before both packs and claim my birthright, not with shame, but with strength. Garrett will have the witnesses ready, the proof of Jarek's treason. He finally releases my hands, but the connection through the bond holds strong. We will not just defeat him, we will expose him. We will show the pack that the old ways of lies and cruelty end today. He looks at me, and for the first time, I see not a hint of doubt in his eyes about who I am or what I represent. He sees a partner, a queen. Are you with me? I don't hesitate. I square my shoulders, the weight of his cloak feeling like armor. I am. We have a plan, and we have a trap to spring.
The howling crags live up to their name. A bitter wind whips across the stark, flat expanse of rock, carrying with it the ghosts of 1,000 pack gatherings. It is a place of tradition, of law, and of judgment. By the time we arrive, a large crowd has already formed, a sea of uncertain faces divided by invisible lines of loyalty. On one side, clustered around Jarek, are his supporters, warriors with hard eyes, traditionalists who sneer at Zane's new ways. On the other, a smaller, quieter group stands waiting. Garrett and the loyalists Zane spoke of, their postures tense, ready for a fight. Zane doesn't hide our approach. He walks into the center of the crags with me at his side, his hand a firm, undeniable presence on the small of my back. His cloak is still wrapped around me, a blatant symbol of his protection. A ripple of gasps and muttered outrage goes through Jarek's faction. This is not how this was supposed to go. The condemned woman is not supposed to walk in beside the alpha, head held high. Jarek's smug expression falters for a fraction of a second, replaced by a flicker of confusion and then cold fury. His plan is already veering off script. Zane stops in the center of the circle, turning to face the assembled pack. The wind tosses his dark hair. He says nothing at first. He just lets them look. Lets them see me beside him. Lets them see his defiance. The silence is tense, broken only by the mournful cry of the wind. This is the opening move. Not a declaration, but a presentation. He is showing them the core of the conflict before a single word is spoken. He is forcing them to choose a side, not based on Jarek's words, but on what they see with their own eyes. The storm hasn't broken yet, but the pressure is building, and every soul on the crags can feel it. Jarek steps forward, recovering his composure. The politician's mask slides back into place. "Alpha," he says, his voice projecting across the crags with practiced ease, "we are gathered at the ancient place of judgment, as law demands. You bring the accused to her trial. A wise choice." He tries to frame Zane's defiance as compliance. He gestures toward me, his face a mask of grave disappointment. "The evidence of her treason is undeniable. She has poisoned your mind and weakened our pack. The law is clear. Justice must be served, for the good of all." Zane doesn't look at him. He addresses the pack, his voice cutting through the wind like a blade. "You speak of evidence, Jarek. You speak of law." He finally turns his head, his gaze locking onto his beta. "But you do not speak of the arson in the southern storeroom. You do not speak of the supports sawn through in the silver mine. You do not speak of our men, your men, wearing enemy colors to provoke border fights." He takes a step toward Jarek. The crowd stirs, a restless, anxious movement. "You present a map, herbs, a locket, and you ask for a death. I ask a different question. Who truly weakened this pack?" The challenge is clear, direct, and utterly audacious. He is not defending me. He is accusing Jarek. The beta's face darkens. "You would blame your own beta for the spy's actions?" He scoffs, trying to rally the crowd with disbelief. "To protect her, you would spin such wild tales? This is the weakness I speak of. The sentimentality has blinded you." But the seed of doubt is planted. People look between them, confusion growing. Zane has thrown the first punch. The political war is now out in the open, and the battlefield is the trust of the pack. "The old ways have their uses, Jarek," Zane says, his voice cold. "You demand a show of strength, you will have one." He strips off his tunic, revealing the hard planes of his chest and the scars of a warrior. "I am your alpha. You challenge my judgment, you challenge my strength. So challenge me. Face me yourself, or has your ambition made you forget how to fight your own battles?" It's a masterstroke, a direct, physical challenge that Jarek, for all his posturing, cannot refuse without looking like a coward in front of the entire pack. Jarek's eyes dart to his followers. He hesitates for a second too long. Then he smiles a thin, cruel smile. "I would not dishonor the pack by spilling my alpha's blood myself," he says, sidestepping the challenge. But the challenge for justice must be answered. Kael, a massive warrior from Jarek's inner circle, steps forward, cracking his knuckles. He is a head taller than Zane, all brute muscle and snarling contempt. Jarek's champion. The fight is not to the death, but to submission, to prove whose strength, whose right, is greater. The circle widens. Zane and Kael circle each other. The fight is brutal and swift. Kael is powerful, but Zane is faster, smarter. He is fighting for something real. They clash, a tangle of muscle and snarls. I watch, my heart in my throat, my nails digging into my palms. I see an opening Kyle leaves, a flaw in his stance. It's a move I recognize from watching Emberclaw trainers years ago. Without thinking, I lock eyes with Zane. I give a tiny, almost imperceptible nod toward Kyle's left leg. Zane's eyes flicker. He sees it. In the next move, he feints high and sweeps Kyle's leg out from under him. The giant man crashes to the stone, defeated. The victory is Zane's, but it was our victory, our first silent fight as one. A tense silence falls. Jarek's champion is down. His credibility is crumbling. For a moment, it seems like it might be over. Then, Jarek begins to clap. A slow, sarcastic applause that echoes mockingly across the crags. "A fine show, Alpha," he purrs. "You can still brawl like a common soldier, but this is not about physical strength. It is about the strength to do what is necessary." His eyes glint with malicious intent. He knows he has lost the legal and physical challenge, so he changes the game entirely. "She has bewitched you!" he shouts, pointing at me, his voice rising to a fanatical pitch. "Can you not all see it? He defends a known spy. He attacks his own beta. He would let our pack fall to ruin for this Emberclaw whore. He is no longer trying to convince with logic. He is inciting with rage and fear. He appeals to the basest instincts of the pack, to their prejudice and their fear of the unknown. I will not let him. I will save this pack, even if it means spilling the blood of a corrupted king." With a roar, he shifts. The air shimmers around him, and where the politician stood is now a massive, jet-black wolf with eyes of burning amber. It is not a controlled shift. It is a violent, explosive transformation of pure rage. He launches himself not at Zane, but at me. It's a desperate, vicious move. If he can kill me in front of everyone, he can still claim he did it for the pack. He can still win. The attack is so sudden, so unexpected, that for a split second, everyone freezes. The true, brutal face of his ambition is finally fully revealed. Time seems to slow. Jarek, a snarling mass of black fur and killing intent, is in mid-air, aimed straight for my throat. Zane is shifting, a roar of fury tearing from his lungs, but he's too far away. He won't make it in time. My own survival instinct, the part of me that has been hiding and cowering for years, screams to run. But a newer, stronger instinct takes over. The instinct of an heir. The instinct of a Luna. I don't flinch. I don't cower. I stand my ground. And I shout a single word with every ounce of authority I possess. It's not a scream of fear. It's a command that rings with ancient power. Enough! The word cracks across the crags like thunder. Jarek, shocked by the force in a voice he only ever heard beg or whisper, falters. His leap falters just enough. It gives Zane the half-second he needs. His huge silver-white wolf slams into Jarek's black one, and the two alpha-level powers crash together in a whirlwind of teeth and claws. The pack watches, stunned into silence by the duel and by my outburst. This is the moment. The plan is in ashes. There is no controlled reveal. There is only truth. I step forward into the dangerous periphery of the fighting wolves and address the terrified, confused pack. Jarek speaks of my heritage as a curse, as a weapon, I cry out, my voice carrying. He is right. I am Thalia of the Emberclaw, the lost heir. Gasps erupt. I press on, but I am not a spy. I am a survivor, and I am not a weapon for his war. I choose to be a bridge. I choose peace. As if summoned by my declaration, a horn echoes from the tree line. Every head turns. Emerging from the forest are a group of figures clad in the deep russet and gold of the Emberclaw pack. At their head are three ancient, stern-faced elders. The crowd parts for them too shocked to even react. The fighting wolves break apart, shifting back into their human forms, both bloodied and panting. Zane positions himself immediately at my side. Jarek stares. his face a mask of utter disbelief and dawning horror. His lies are unraveling in real time. The lead elder, a woman with eyes like smoldering coals and a face etched with age, ignores everyone else. She walks directly up to me. Her gaze is intense, searching. She looks at my face, then at the locket Jarek still holds clutched in his human hand. "We felt the claim of blood," she says, her voice raspy but powerful. "We heard the challenge to our lost daughter's line. We came to see what fool would use our tragedy for his games." She turns her piercing gaze on Jarek. "You, Beta, you have the heirloom of our murdered Luna. How?" Jarek is speechless. The elder doesn't wait for an answer. She looks back at me. The child had her mother's eyes and her father's defiance. She reaches out a gnarled hand and touches my cheek. A simple, profound gesture. Then she turns to address both packs. "The blood of Emberclaw's true line stands before you, not as an enemy, but as a living testament to the peace we once had and could have again." She glares at Jarek. "This man's words are poison. His evidence is theft and lies." The verdict is delivered, not by a Frostfang alpha, but by an Emberclaw elder. It is irrefutable. Jarek's defeat is absolute and total. Silence hangs over the howling crags, thick and heavy. The Emberclaw elder's words have sucked all the air from the space, leaving only the truth in their wake. Jarek stands alone, isolated in a circle of rock and judgment. His face is a parchment of crumbling defiance, all his cunning plans and vicious lies laid bare for both packs to see. He looks from the stern Emberclaw elders to Zane's furious, bloodied form at my side, to the faces of his own followers, many of whom now look away in shame or shock. His empire of deception has fallen in a single moment. Zane takes a step forward. He doesn't shout. He doesn't need to. His voice is low, cold, and absolute, carrying the full weight of his authority. "Jarek, former Beta of the Frostfang pack, your treachery is exposed. Your lies have been spoken to the wind. You have betrayed your alpha, your pack, and the very concept of honor." He lists the crimes not for Jarek, but for the pack, making the sentence undeniable. "For conspiring to undermine your alpha, for treason, and for attempting to execute an innocent for your own gain, the penalty is death." A collective breath is held. Zane looks at the man he once called brother, his expression unyielding. "But I will not start my new reign with your blood on my hands, staining this sacred ground." He sweeps his gaze across the assembled packs. "I banish you. You are cast out from Frostfang lands. You are packless, nameless. If you are ever found in our territory again, or on any allied territory, you will be killed on sight. This is my mercy. Now, get out." The sentence is worse than death for a wolf like Jarek. To be nothing, to have no home, no allegiance. He is erased. Jarek says nothing. He offers no defense, no plea. His eyes, burning with a hatred so pure it could ignite the very air, lock on me for one final venomous second. Then he turns, shifts into his black wolf form, and lopes away into the barren trees without a backward glance. He doesn't look like a defeated villain. He looks like a lurking shadow, a promise of future trouble. But for now, he is gone. The poison has been drawn from the wound. The tension breaks with Jarek's departure, but a new, uncertain one takes its place. The Frostfang and Emberclaw wolves eye each other warily across the crags, centuries of bloody history and fresh lies hanging between them. The lead Emberclaw elder turns from watching Jarek's retreat to face Zane. The two leaders regard each other, the weight of the past and the potential of the future in their gaze. The elder speaks first. her voice respectful but firm. A clean wound heals best, Alpha Zane. The rot is gone, but the scar remains. My people have lived with a grief and anger your former Beta sought to exploit. Zane nods, his posture diplomatic but strong. The Frostfang pack has lived with lies that shaped our present, he replies. We both have wounds that need healing. He gestures to me, standing between them. We also have a unique opportunity, a chance not just for a truce, but for something new, something stronger. He is not just speaking as a king to an elder. He is speaking as a man who has seen a better path and is determined to walk it. The elder's severe expression softens almost imperceptibly. She looks at me, a living symbol of what was lost and what could be found again. The blood of our lost Luna stands with you, she says, her words carrying a formal weight. It is a sign we cannot ignore. The Emberclaw pack agrees to a truce. We will withdraw our scouts from your borders. We will open dialogue for trade routes closed for a generation. It is a monumental shift. The Frostfang pack members murmur amongst themselves, not with anger, but with awe and dawning hope. The first thread of a new tapestry is being woven, not from a treaty document, but from trust earned in fire and truth.
We return to the Frostfang Great Hall, but it is a different place. The air is no longer heavy with hostility and fear, but charged with a nervous, hopeful energy. The entire pack is assembled, joined by the solemn Emberclaw elders as honored witnesses. Zane stands before his throne, but he does not sit. Instead, he turns to me and extends his hand. His eyes hold mine, full of a certainty that makes my breath catch. This is not part of any plan we discussed. Garrett steps forward, holding a pillow. On it rests not one, but 2 crowns. One is Zane's, a band of twisted silver resembling jagged frost. The other is new, crafted in the hours since our return, a delicate, yet strong band of silver woven to look like intertwining flames and pine branches, a symbol of both packs, of us. Zane takes the frost crown and places it on his own head. Then he takes the new crown. A pack is not led by a king alone, he says, his voice resonating through the silent hall. It is led by a pair, by strength and compassion, by justice and mercy. He looks at the pack. Thalia has proven her loyalty not with words, but with her very life. She has proven her strength not in battle, but in truth. She has faced your hatred and offered you peace in return. He turns back to me. She is my fated mate, my equal in every way, and she will be your Luna. Before I can process it, he lifts the crown and places it upon my head. It is cool against my skin, a perfect weight. A shockwave of awe ripples through the crowd. This is unprecedented. He is not claiming a Luna, he is crowning a co-ruler. The forgotten servant is gone. In her place stands a queen. The crown feels less like jewelry and more like a harness, pulling my spine straight and lifting my chin. The weight of every gaze in the hall is a physical pressure, but for the first time, it does not feel hostile. It feels expectant. They are waiting. Zane looks at me, a silent question in his eyes. Are you ready? This is our first test, our first act as one. I give him a single, slight nod. My voice, when I speak, is clear and carries to the far corners of the hall, no longer a whisper, but a decree. The old ways are broken, I begin, the words echoing Zane's long-ago confession to me in my gilded cage. They were built on cruelty and fear. They allowed what happened to me to be acceptable. They allowed a beta to poison a pack without question. I look out at the faces, at the former followers of Jarek who now looked ashamed, at the low-ranking pack members who are watching with desperate hope. That ends now. Our first law, our first decree as your Alpha and Luna is this:
No pack member shall be deemed lesser based on birth or rank. Bullying, torment, and the abuse of power are henceforth punishable offenses. We are one pack. Your strength is our strength. Your safety is our priority. A silence follows, then a single clap. It comes from Garrett. Then another from one of the kitchen maids I used to scrub beside. Then another and another until the hall erupts in not just applause, but in cheers and howls of approval. It is the sound of liberation, not just for me, but for every wolf who has ever felt powerless. It is the sound of a new beginning. Zane's hand finds mine, his fingers lacing through mine. We face them together. We have not just taken the throne, we have started a revolution.
In the days that follow, I am no longer a symbol of controversy. I am a bridge. I walk the Frostfang grounds, the Emberclaw locket now openly worn around my neck, not as a secret, but as a badge of my dual heritage. Pack members who once spat at my feet now bow their heads in respect, their eyes curious, sometimes still wary, but willing. I spend hours with the Emberclaw elders, learning of my parents, of the pack I was stolen from. The grief is profound, but it is finally a clean wound, able to heal. I also sit beside Zane in council, my crown a familiar weight. My perspective is different. I see the budgets not just as numbers, but as meals for low-ranking families, as warm clothes for winter. I suggest ways to integrate the new trade routes with Emberclaw to benefit our farmers and their artisans. Zane listens, his eyes alight with pride and a new kind of respect. I am not just his mate, I am his partner, offering a view of the pack he could never have had from the throne alone. One afternoon, I stand on the balcony where I was once put on display, but now I look down at a different sight. Frostfang and Emberclaw children, under the watchful eyes of their parents and Garrett's guards, are playing together in the courtyard below. Their laughter rings out, free of the weight of ancient hatreds. It is a small thing, a fragile thing, but it is everything. I am not just a bridge made of treaties and words. I am a living, breathing connection, and with every day, the two sides I stand between take a small step closer together, building a new future on the foundation we laid. The first full moon of our reign rises, a colossal silver disk hanging over the united packs gathered on the crags. There is no tension here tonight, only a shared, solemn anticipation. Zane and I stand together at the edge of the cliff, looking out over our people. Frostfang and Emberclaw, side by side, their differences muted under the moon's light. He takes my hand, his grip strong and sure. He throws his head back and begins the howl. It is not the solitary, mournful cry of a lone alpha, but a strong, clear note that calls to the very soul of every wolf present. It is a song of strength, of resilience, of a future written in unity. A second later, I join him. My howl is different, lighter, but no less powerful. It weaves with his, a harmony of frost and flame, of mountain and forest, of two become one. Then the entire assembly joins us. Hundreds of voices rise together in a single thunderous song that shakes the very foundations of the mountains. It is a sound that has not been heard in generations. It is not a Frostfang howl. It is not an Emberclaw howl. It is something new. It is a promise, a vow to the moon and to each other. The sound fills me, erasing the last remnants of the scared, lonely servant role. I am Thalia, Luna of the Frostfang, heir of the Emberclaw, mate to Zane. I am home, and our song is just beginning. Thank you for listening. If you were captivated by Thalia's journey from disgrace to becoming Luna, please let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more immersive werewolf romance audiobooks and hit the like button.
It helps keep these stories alive. See you on the next one.